All right, what we have here is my polisher wall and battery station. You can see I use all flex cordless polishers. I've used Rupus and plenty of other polishers before. I just decided to switch to an all cordless setup so that I didn't have cables in my shop. That's not to say that Flex or any other company is better than the other. That's not what we're here to talk about. I just personally prefer battery operated equipment. And so at the top, what I have is a 6, a 5, and a 3-inch DA polisher, and then a 5-inch rotary, a 5-inch force rotation, and a 3-inch rotary on this PXE80. Now the Flex PXE80, you can put all kind of different attachments. You can see my little wrench for changing here. You have everything from their 140th attachment, which gets into door handles and tight spaces, 1-inch rotary, 1-inch DA. This all unscrews. This is a 2-inch here. I used to have a 3-inch backing plate on here. I just generally keep the rotary attachments on this one and the DA attachments on this one, and then I always have what I need. All right, what we're gonna use today is we're gonna use this 3-inch, the heavier cutting pad, foam pad from Autofiber. We're gonna use a Buffmaster microfiber towel to wipe off polish residue. It's a tightly knit towel. I'm gonna use today Sonax Cut and Finish. I like Sonax Cut and Finish, and a heavier pad and a longer work time results in a really good single step, and this client's gonna be super happy. I'm gonna show you because I already did a test spot. All right, so one of the things that makes these attractive pads is you see it kind of flares out. This is fitting on a 3-inch backing plate, but it's actually closer to like 3 1/4 width compared to a 3-inch standard 3-inch pad. And this is a good pad too, but one thing that people like about these flared pads is it keeps you away from items that you may bump with the backing plate, right? Because now the edge of the pad is closer. With the other pads, the backing plate ends up getting closer to the surface you're trying not to damage, just by nature of the fact that the pad is more straight down instead of flared out. All right, so for this, I'm gonna use, like I said, Sonax Cut and Finish. And what we wanna do is we wanna put little beads. Some people say pea size, whatever. And this could change depending upon how big of a section you're gonna work, but generally speaking, I put no more than this. And you notice that I put the beads on the edge of the pad, and that's because on a DA machine, this is gonna naturally get worked towards the center with the oscillations. So if you've ever seen somebody with a picture and the center of their pad is all loaded up with product and the outside is barely or mostly dry, they may have loaded it too close to the center, and then it just works its way into the center. So here you're working from the outside in, and it gives you more pad to work with. You don't want to turn a 3-inch pad into a 1-inch pad or a 1/2-inch pad by putting the material too close to the center. One of the reasons I tell clients that it's best to hire a professional is because it takes years of experience to figure out great pad and product combinations and tool combinations. And once you get good enough, you can use almost any polisher, even a cheap polisher, and get the job done. And so, there's a bunch of that goes into this, but for today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this Cut and Finish. My first pass is gonna be on max power on this, which is the 4th bar on the Flex PXE80. And my first pass is gonna be heavier pressure, which is good because this is a thicker foam pad and it's a stiffer foam pad, so it will help break down the abrasives on the first pass, and then I'll lighten my pressure on the second pass, which will allow it to finish, and you'll see the results soon. So I like to kind of smear it around at first. You don't have to do the whole panel, but I just like to get it spread out, and then I start it and switch to the high power. Okay, I stopped early on purpose because I want to show you this. You see how much product is left on the panel? Generally speaking, with the products that I use, I want that to thin out and keep it wet and almost diminish all these abrasives so there's not much left. If you're trying to wipe it off with this much, you're either using too much product, or you haven't worked it long enough, or maybe your pad's dirty and redepositing material back on. And that's especially true if you're having a hard time wiping it off. You may have let it dry, you may have overheated the panel, or you may have too much or too dirty of a product. So I stopped to show you, I don't want to stop when the product looks like this. I'm going to show you how I diminish it out, and then I'll show you before I wipe. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to wipe this panel, and you notice how it's more of a fine wet, like just a greasy texture versus that solid or mostly solid milky white. And it's gonna wipe off so much easier when it's like that. And then you notice my pad is not overly dirty either. And every time I stop my machine, I'm gonna clean off my pad. Now you can use the claw brush that I showed you from Rupus earlier, or you can use a compressor, which we're gonna use a compressor. We're gonna keep that pad clean. If you don't keep your pad clean, you're gonna reintroduce swirling. It's not gonna correct as well. You're gonna throw the machine off balance. And I'm gonna show you the final result of this car when we're done. Okay, so you can see how our new Autofiber pads combined with our Sonax cut and finish made quick work out of a one-step of this C7 Corvette in orange, and we really like how this turned out.